Welcome back to another edition of Flex and Facts, our weekly podcast, brought to you by Jana Water. Who else, Joe?
That's it for now, I guess.
Gino Melito to my right, my left,
Hello,
Joe
everyone.
Sabusco. Say hi.
I'm still shocked here.
Shocked about what?
Well, look at our guest.
Yes, we're going to introduce our guest, Sebastian Gingras.
No, but
Why
tell him why I'm shocked. Tell these
Because
guys what he does or what he is.
He's a philosopher.
See?
Right? You studied philosophy.
You fucking shocked.
So we'll get right into this. We'll dive right into it. Tell us about the whole philosophy and how you got into it. And
For
tell
sure.
me all about it.
Yeah, I can tell you where it started. In grade 12, I took a class, philosophy in high school. I didn't know what it was prior to that. I had not heard anything about it, if you can believe it. Like, hadn't heard a single word. But I remember my plan after graduating, before I'd gone into philosophy, was I was going to travel to Europe and travel for like 2 years. And that was essentially the extent of the plan. I didn't know where I was going, but it was kind of like obviously a dead end. I didn't know what I was, who I was, what I was doing in life at that point. And then I found philosophy. I studied it. And the first assignment we were given in that class was go home and think, which is a silly thing to say, right? But I just remember taking it seriously, going home and being like, this is a thing you can do. You can go home and you can practice thinking, right? As a discipline, not as just a common occurrence of human life. You know, you can go and you can study it and you can advance it in whatever way you like. So
You should try that, Joe.
Great thinking.
Yeah.
go home and think. Yeah.
Think.
How
What do you think
often-
about?
What, at the time, it was kind of just like, what does that mean to go home and think? What the hell do I think about? You know, that's the question, right? And that's where it all starts, right? You're generally confused and you want to figure out what's going on. And so philosophy is there to help you with that, I guess.
So then what?
Then what? Oh, yeah. Well, then I studied it. After graduating, it was like the last day I could apply for university. And I was like, I should probably take something. And I saw philosophy as a program. And I was like, that was probably the one class in high school that I genuinely tried and cared about, because the rest of it was just kind of a blur. I was otherwise just playing video games at the time, I think. But yeah, so I took it and it kind of took over my life for sure. I was kind of funneled through, because before that I don't know if I necessarily had an identity growing up, and learning through philosophy, my identity definitely became that, and it was sort of funneled through it. I'm definitely on the spectrum now where I'm coming out of it and learning more things and experiencing life in different ways. But for sure, philosophy was that.
So who hires a philosopher?
Well, I would more say it's a means of navigating life as opposed to enacting things in life, because it was a way to figure out a bit more about myself in a genuine way, if that makes sense. Because it is a discipline, right? When you're studying philosophy, it's generally a discipline. And I think it's commonly misconceived that, like, when you hear my philosophy of life, it's used as like my way of life, right? It's just a different word for way, or my mode of thinking, my mode of living. But like, it is a discipline, and you can use it in different ways in a similar way. Like, for instance, if you think of when someone goes and studies or trains in karate, for instance.
Like Tony
right?
Greco.
For sure, like Tony Greco.
So Tony Greco's a philosopher.
Yeah. Well, to a certain extent, but it's a discipline, right? And they always teach you that it is a discipline first and then like an art form afterwards. It's never to be used for violence, and that's prefaced, right? But you could have a teacher which puts emphasis on the violence aspect of the martial art,
Like
and
Tony Greco.
negative things happen.
No.
But it's a similar thing. It's a skill that you can develop, and it can be used in any sort of way depending on how you approach it and use it in your life, you know? Yeah.
So you seem like a very Zen kind of guy. Like you got the lotus pose here. Like he's just...
Whose pose?
Well, that's a yoga pose, isn't it?
What's
Yeah.
it called?
Well, it's funny. My sister and I have always been able to do this. We've just sat like this our whole lives. I'm not sure.
Is there a name for that pose?
Yeah, there's a name for it, right?
Yeah, it's
What's it
definitely a
called?
yoga position. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's the lotus pose, right? Is that what it is? I think that's what it
Lotus?
is.
Yoga.
Yeah, yes, whatever. Yoga pose, seating position.
Yeah.
But there's all these different kinds of poses in
If
yoga.
I sit like that, you know where I'm going to end up, eh? A fucking emergency room.
I don't think that's pretty good.
This is my yoga pose right here.
It looks comfortable.
So about what you said, it sounds like a lot of the young people should be taking this. You've graduated university already, right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like a lot of young people today have no idea, what course of action they to take in their lives, which direction to go. And it sounds like this philosophical thing might help them navigate through at least the first part of their life. Does that make sense by what you said?
Yeah. Well, I think fundamentally it's going to help them understand who they are and in a non-judgmental way, if that makes sense.
How?
I suppose through the discipline, like for instance, when I studied it in university, you're learning academic philosophy, and it's a very different thing than doing philosophy. But essentially all it means is you're examining arguments and you're learning the structure
So that's
of
the
arguments.
discipline? Is
The discipline-
examining arguments?
The discipline is essentially how to think, not what to think. And so, how often you study science or any sort of psychology, whatever, insert name of discipline. And you're learning about things and what you should be thinking about. Whereas the how you're going to be learning about it is kind of dependent on your own way of approaching it, I guess. Or it's given to you like laws and maxims. So like science is an easy way. Science or mathematics is a very easy way to demonstrate that idea of like, here's what you should be thinking and here's how to do it. Whereas in philosophy, what you're thinking about, for instance, because you're learning about the whole history of philosophers, and they all talk about different things and oppose each other in so many ways, think about different things, but you're still studying the general structure of how they're creating these arguments and why they're so effective, right? And they go about creating their arguments in such unique and complex ways that have sort of consistencies in them. That's the part you're studying. You're not studying about, you don't learn Plato and automatically you should do what Plato says. You learn why Plato said the things he said and how it came across and why it was so effective to the youth in his time, and why he's still talked about today,
Yeah, I think.
What about Aristotle? Isn't that,
Aristotle, yeah. So I mean, Aristotle too. You kind of just like pick your poison once you enter university, for sure. You just kind of pick the person you like and go with it.
choose them all, or do you choose them all? Do you choose them all, or the professor gives you a choice of
The professor,
study?
yeah. So yeah, there's like different aspects of philosophy, and each class is like the different sort of world. And so the two big worlds in modern philosophy is the analytic realm and the continental realm. The analytic realm of philosophy focuses on like the words you use specifically, and it's gotten very popular in North America in modern times because of just how the English language works. You can convey ideas conceptually and just in unique ways that in other languages you can't, due to its like free structure. For instance, when you're learning French or a European language in particular, which has genders or certain specific structures, you have to keep it pretty
like masculine and feminine.
For sure. Yeah. You can get pretty loosey goosey with English, which creates a lot of leeway, but also creates
That's why there's no more genders in English.
Yeah,
Right?
that's maybe right.
So what's the
Maybe right.
misconception here in society about philosophy?
Misconception, I think, is well, there's always the question, right? What are you going to do with your life if you study philosophy? What are you gonna apply for after? But I think it's just the wrong question to ask. Anybody who properly takes philosophy because they love philosophy is not doing it because they want a career as a philosopher. It's like a ridiculous thing to achieve, and not necessarily one that is given to you in your lifetime, if that is the case. It's kind of like the case of an artist who only after like he's died, his art is truly appreciated. It's kind of like the same thing, because it's not until you've lived your life, said the things you've said, that people are going to be
I know,
like,
but
"This
meanwhile,
guy
you got to
said
make a
something."
living.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
But it lets you know where you would even want to consider being in life,
But
What
how does
is
it
you
do
want
that?
to do? In a-
Thinking again? You got to think?
in a very personal way, right? And that's personal to everyone. So, for instance, in a personal respect, for me, I grew up a Christian. I grew up Christian, like believing in God, for instance.
Okay.
And an interesting thing was that God definitely played a role in my life, but it was interesting how when questions that were inevitably perplexing by like denying it or just saying like God does not exist, for instance, even approaching that question caused such an intense and visceral and confused reaction. And I realized it was never a reaction I was like afraid of being in. It wasn't an environment or like mental climate I was afraid of being in. It was stimulating to think if God doesn't exist and I die and I won't live in the afterlife. And I remember thinking this. I was sitting on my trampoline when I was like 6 years old. And I remember thinking, if God doesn't exist and I die, what the heck happens after if there's no afterlife? And you're kind of met with that wall, right? You're met with this confusing wall that isn't answered, but you can't go any further. And that sort of climate is like the philosophical climate, right? That's the one where you're like, and it's the one that philosophers enjoy being in, is that wall that isn't answered, and yet you still have no idea. It doesn't satisfy you in any sort of way. And so
Isn't that part of your faith?
For sure, it's part of faith, right? But
do they teach you hypnosis too in this class? Like,
no.
Because right now I'm fucking hypnotized.
But you were
I
thinking.
got fucking ants in my head right now, moving 100 miles
You
an
were
hour.
thinking at 6 years old, you were thinking about God, and if He doesn't exist,
well, it's just
where
because
do you go?
well, it's just because
That's interesting.
That is
Yeah.
interesting.
Like at 6 years old.
You know, we had a guest once. His name was, I can't remember his name, but he was a good friend of ours. I do remember his name. I just don't want to mention his name.
And
But the manifesting, what do you think of that?
manifesting.
Is that the same
Manifestation.
thing?
But
Because I think this guy's out to lunch.
Well, manifestation and beliefs, values and beliefs.
yeah, I think manifestation, the way I like believe it in
Yeah.
a sense, is like you have to have the intention to want to do something, or you have to have the intention or the desire or the fantasy or the belief that you want something
he
in
said
life.
the key word there. Say it again, sir.
One sec.
No,
you
say
need
it
that.
again.
You
the
need
same
that
word.
intention, right? Because if you think about it, if
Can
you were
just
to
say,
say,
1 second?
if you were to say, right, I don't want to live in a mansion. I'm not going to be living in a mansion. Do you think you'll eventually be living in that mansion? Like,
No.
exactly. But if you say the
No,
inverse,
because I don't want it.
well, sure.
Yeah.
Or I won't live in a mansion. I can't live in a mansion.
Right.
Yeah.
It's because I don't want it.
Well, what if it's
But that's not manifesting.
like that's what I'm saying.
It's
Manifesting, you would
self-talk.
say,
It's self-talk.
That's
Yeah.
you wanting something or not wanting it. It's not manifesting.
well, when you say I want something,
I
you're
think
gonna, I'm going
manifesting
to
is a
have it.
proper word of saying fantasizing, like fucking Walt Disney. He manifested Walt Disney. It was a fantasy land.
In a sense, but I think it's
Yeah, but He manifested it this big.
It's
Like Walt
it's
Disney is-
kind of a
It's huge.
I agree with Joe. It's kind
And
of
he
a
did
fantasy.
manifest
It's
everything.
fantasy. It's just
It is
another
fantasy,
word
but
for
it's
But
also-
fantasy.
he manifested it. Walt Disney
No, but
Okay, forget Walt Disney.
manifested it.
Okay, I went off track there. I'm
I
sorry,
think we're going
Gino.
off track here, but
Well, you did
But
a
I'm
little
just
bit.
saying the word manifest. The word manifest, I think, is just a camouflage. It's a polite way of saying fantasizing.
I want to
let's
say
see the philosophers.
this is perhaps the most
okay.
important aspect of analytic philosophy. Your words matter, right? So
I
when
need a
someone
fucking
says
dictionary with this kid.
Well,
He's
it's-
throwing some big words here.
no, but words do matter.
words matter, when you're talking about fantasy, right?
Yeah,
You mean that in a
I'm
certain
having
way.
one right now.
Well, when you say it, right, you mean it, and you think of something in your head, and
Right.
that's the idea you convey. And to you, that could perhaps mean like some woo-woo sort of thing. You need to actually enact things in life
Right.
to for your fantasies to come to fruition. Fantasies to come to fruition, right? But
And acknowledge that and accept it, and then you feel the actions put forward to that. So I could see where he's going with this. Do you know what I mean? Like,
But you can- you
You ever see an anthill, Tony?
no,
But hold
yeah,
on, you
guys,
can manifest.
did you ever
You
see
can
an anthill?
manifest anything you want to manifest, but there has to be follow up.
That's what
I
he's
can
talking
manifest that I want to buy a car or
what he's
Lamborghini
just talking about.
or a beautiful home or a mansion, like you said.
You
or
weren't
maybe I
listening
want to
again.
fly to Europe. I get it.
This guy wasn't listening.
Yes, I was listening.
No, he wasn't. He just said
but
that.
we're talking about somebody else you can manifest. You think it'll come true. And you know what? At times, Tony, you feel the same way. That's not true.
No, but here's
You need
here's-
to have an action.
Okay,
When you
here's the
manifest,
thing.
you need to put an action
Here's the
forward.
thing.
Am
Here's
I
the
right?
thing.
Otherwise, you're not going to sit back and say, "I want that Lamborghini." Tomorrow, it's going to happen.
But what happens is your actions and your experience dictate your emotions that you put out. That's what happens with a lot of people. I mean, this guy's in philosophy. I can teach some philosophy too, right? Because your thoughts convert into behavior.
Yeah.
Those behaviors create emotions. Those emotions you store as experiences. You see what I mean? That's why people are the way they are. That's why you're never going to tell a guy that he can't climb up a mountain that's climbed up Mount Everest. He's not going to believe you. You could say whatever you want. You're full of this. You're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. But that guy's already done it. He's lived that memory in his mind like a library, like a software that you're not going to delete it from that computer. It's already there because he's done it. So that's why all these experiences that people bring in life, you can't change it. You can't change them because they've experienced it. Do you know what I mean? So and what we're trying to do is those people that haven't experienced those, if you say something and you put actions forward, that might never come, but your emotions, your experience, your thought, your behavior on the journey all the way through is going to be accepting, acknowledging, and adjusting. That's why friends of ours are the way they are, because they're in that zone where they don't accept anything else. They get a guy like Joe says, you're dreaming. They're not going to believe that because they're already 5 steps ahead into their dream where they've encountered these experiences.
Yeah,
do
but
you know
what
what I'm
if,
saying?
hold on a sec, hold on. You can fantasize or manifest whatever you want.
Yeah.
But if 5 years later, you're at the same spot you were 5
You're
years
never going to
before.
be that. You're never going to be. I guarantee you'll never be that. You know why? Because if you take the actions, it's like saying you'll never climb up that mountain and in 5 years you never do it. But if you take one step at a time, in 5 years you're going to climb up that mountain. Whatever it is that you think about, if you put your thought process with everything that you have around you, I'm not saying you're going to, like, I know that we say, hey, okay, let's dream about making $10 million and it's going to fall on our whatever doorstep. But if you put those thought patterns and those actions going forward, you're going to be a lot way further than you were. You're going to have better experiences. You're going to start attracting. It's the law of vibration, attraction. That's what it is. Like we all have it in us. Do they teach you the law of vibration in school?
For philosophy, no.
No. Okay. But you're
That's
familiar
hypnosis.
with that.
That's the class
It's not
you took.
hypnosis.
That's
It's
the class
not
you took.
But
It's
Tony,
not-
what about what Tony, and maybe you can shed some light into this. If you manifest whatever you want to manifest today, you say, you know what? In 5 years, I want to be able to travel wherever I want to travel. I want to be able to own a home. I want a beautiful car. You know, I want a wife and kid. So this is in 5 years. 10 years later, you're still manifesting this, but you're exactly where you were. What do you say to that person?
You say, I'll tell you what I say. You say,
I'm
I
asking
say,
the philosopher.
okay, well, he can answer it right after this. I say, what have you done to achieve that?
That's my point I was trying to
But
be
you can't just think about it. You gotta put actions to thoughts.
That's what I said.
So
But
what
You
are
need
you
to put
asking?
action to thought.
So what are
exactly.
you asking?
Because
You're
a lot
asking
of
a question that you got
a
the
lot
answer
of
to.
No, he's
people-
answering my question.
A lot of people out there are putting stuff out that they want this, they want that, they want this beautiful everything. Whether it's a car, a home, furniture, beautiful backyard, a pool, you're putting it out there. But you have done zero action to make that dream come true or that manifestation come true. And if you don't do that, and 5 years later, you're still thinking the same thing, what do you say to those people?
Well, I don't know if you could necessarily say anything to them in terms of like what that manifesting is. I don't know if they're still manifesting it, or I don't know. I think there's
because I know quite a few of them.
I think there's just, if you think about it, the person who is like successful or has achieved what they wanted, right? It's always started with them saying, I'm going to have this. Or it always starts with the intention.
I will have this.
Yeah, I will inevitably end up with this. And it depends. I think the individual you're talking about is the person who sees the successful individual, and that successful individual said, all you need is to know that you will have something. You know that you will get there and you will achieve it. And that's the person from the outside perspective thinking, oh, I just need to say that. That's a person who hasn't critically thought about what that actually means. You know, when you say, I'm going to have it, do you actually mean that? I think if you genuinely mean it, like it would alter your perception in the
You'd
sense that,
attract it.
yeah, because what you perceive is definitely what you're going to put out into the world. You know,
Why do you listen to your motivational CDs in your car that you drive me nuts about stuff I already know? Why do you do that? You're a hypocrite.
Just why? Because I
Because-
do it all the time.
Okay, but what do you do?
Because it changed my
No,
life.
it didn't, because you don't do anything about it. You listen to all this stuff, but you don't do jack shit about it.
Are you joking right now?
Well, no, you haven't, because you haven't changed.
Tony, 20 years ago, I was
You have
living.
not
I was
cha-
living in rent.
It doesn't
I
matter.
had nothing.
No, that's just hard work. You never.
Listen, guys, I'm going to be honest.
No.
You know who really put
Why
me to
you-
this?
why you listen?
Anthony Robbins.
Okay.
Oh,
And I'm telling you,
my
I
God.
hate to give him a little bit of a boost
Here's a free plug.
You know, 20 years ago, I listened to Anthony Robbins because I wanted to change my life.
Yeah, you did something
about it.
And
then, I started to listen to Jim Rohn and a few other philosopher, motivational speakers.
Yeah.
And they did put things out there. You got to want something.
No, they made you understand that you have something behind
what you
you.
want, you need to have action. You can't just sit back.
You said that 3 times.
I know, because I'm trying to, Mr. Philosopher
he knows
can shed some light in some of these people. Because after all, we are talking.
Trying to shed light into me, Gino.
Well, you too.
Don't worry about it. He's trying.
We're trying to get people to say, listen, I've been manifesting this for years upon years, but nothing's happened to me. And my thing is this, because you haven't put any action behind what your thoughts are.
Haven't put effort into your thoughts. Stop
effort,
saying
action, whatever.
Stop saying manifesting. That
you
fucking
can
word
manifest
drives
whatever
me
you want, but unless
insane.
you put action behind it,
It's a
means
fucking
nothing.
fantasy. That word is fantasy.
Yes and no, because the thing is, whether you live, a vivid thought or a physical thought, your thought patterns are the same. So even though you don't put actions to actually move, but you put thoughts towards what you're thinking, you're still gonna follow through. Do you know what I mean? So it's a prime example is, let's say you're working out, okay? And you
Here we
think
go,
of
back to
working
the
out.
muscles
So
again.
when you work out, your thought patterns when you're working out, and let's say you're sitting on the couch and you're thinking you're working out and you're doing a bicep curl, it's the same thought. One's physical, one's just in your brain. But they're the same thought patterns that are going off. Do you know what I mean? Do you get that?
Kind of, but one of them you're actually physically doing it, and the other one you're thinking about it.
But your thoughts, I'm saying, are the same. So you're still in the zone, because what happens is people take a little detour. Like we said earlier before the podcast, a lot of the ideas are kept in the graveyard because no one follows through with them. So because you're thinking, you're constantly, that's why if you see people post a note on their fridge, so when they wake up in the morning, they see that message. They don't read it, but they see it. And then when they leave to go to work, it's stuck into their subconscious state, whatever. Eat well, lose weight, whatever that message is on the fridge, right? But it sticks to you. And that's why at the beginning of the show,
you know what makes me laugh?
I'm sitting on a sofa as I'm eating potato chips and hot dogs, and say I want to lose weight and I want to work out. In my mind, I'm lifting weights, and therefore I'm going to, because I've manifested it. It's going to work.
No,
well, it's going to work. It's not going to work if you're eating chips and eating hot dogs.
Here's the thing. There's steps to do that. One of the steps is journaling. So when you say I want to lose weight, I'm sitting on the couch eating chips. That doesn't equal. It's like math. 2 + 3 doesn't equal whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but that's no one's gonna. That's you. That's just obviously don't put the proper steps going forward. That's where you need help. Someone like a psychologist will help you.
No, he's not a psychologist. He's a
I'm saying, but that's what you need. You would need
philosopher.
if you got to that state where you're saying you need to lose weight and you're eating bags of chips and repeating yourself. There's definitely something wrong with you.
There you go.
I would get yourself checked.
I need to get myself checked sitting here with you guys, because I don't live that life. The notes on the fridge and all that bullshit. I don't live that life.
Well, you got to know who you are, what you want.
I am who I am, and that's it.
But you got to know who you are, what you want.
I get what I want.
And
I always get what I want.
As long as you get what you want and you're
all
happy, that's all that matters.
I'm happy.
Okay, that's all that matters.
I think the weak need the fucking Anthony Robbins motivational speech. I think the weak need to put a fucking note on the fridge to lose weight. I think the weak need to hear other people tell them how great they are.
What do you think about that?
I think everyone inevitably has their weak point.
I think that to me is a weak person.
I don't know.
A guy who has to sit there and listen to a guy like a psychologist. He sits there, oh doc, I bite my toenails and I don't know why, right? And he sits there and he talks to this psychologist, and this psychologist is listening and rambling on.
That's uplifting. That's spirits that uplift you. It's
to me, that's a weak person. You cannot fix.
Okay, hold on a sec. You're born. Your dad tells you what uplifts you. You should, what you can do.
Yeah, you really want to know what my dad used to tell me?
No, but the thing is, everybody needs some kind of call it an echo. Because we all have an ego. It's a good one or a bad one. So the thing is, we need to feed that ego, and whether it's a parent, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a philosopher, whether it's a motivation, you listen, you absorb, you acknowledge, you store, and all that, I call it brain food, is like miracle grow. So when you get that miracle grow, let's say you're a guy
that hypnosis.
Let's say a guy that's weak, and all of a sudden has a little bit of beliefs.
Yeah.
Right now he gets a little bit of confidence.
Yeah.
That confidence leads to more and more. And all of a sudden you're like, holy geez, what happened? I remember you were so shy, you were weak. Now you're strong and strong.
Did a whole 180.
What do you have to say?
Still
like
weak.
That?
I can still fucking put that guy down.
No, you're talking physical force here.
Physical. Look how small I am. What physical?
But
mentally, I can fucking put him down.
But I think the important thing to ask is, why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
I'm just saying I wouldn't want to do that. But I'm saying a thing that's broken and you mend it.
That's my line, by the way. I keep playing. Thank you for doing that because you just confirmed. I tell him all the time, why do you want to do that? I don't
I
understand.
don't want to do it. I'm just saying, once you mend something, it's still weak. When steel snaps
disagree.
and you weld it, the weld is going to hold.
I disagree.
The weld is going to hold. An alcoholic will always be an alcoholic.
That's not true.
No?
No.
Okay.
No.
Talk to alcoholics. They'll tell you.
No,
They'll always be
no.
alcoholics.
Alcoholics will stop drinking. They become.
We'll stop drinking, but we'll always be an alcoholic. A drug user will always be a drug user.
Well, not if they go to rehab and they stop.
Doesn't matter. We'll always be that person.
How do you figure?
Because you're welding metal. It's like metal. Once metal snaps, you weld it. That mend is going to be solid. Be solid. It can hold up for 100 years. It can hold up for 1 year.
Yeah.
But that metal is broken already. You understand?
But there are many people who are cured who are drug addicts and alcoholics.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Of course there is.
No, they're not.
Can you shed some light on that?
I
No,
think
he
it's
can't.
important-
He can't shed light. He's not a fucking doctor. I'm telling you.
Well, I think it's
I
important
have
to
lots
know.
of friends that went through rehab and they're clean. They've been sober for but they'll always tell you, I am still an alcoholic.
I think
I'm
it's
a
important to
recovering
know.
alcoholic. I'm whatever. When steel is broken and you weld it, it can last 100 years like it can last 1 day. But that steel broke because it was weak. You can fix it, you can mend it, but it'll always be weak.
I'm not sure though, because if you think about it, substance use is a tricky subject because substances tend to like fill those voids that are missing in individuals, right? And that varies according to the individual.
Right.
And you'll often note certain individuals can adore cocaine but hate heroin, whereas it'd be the inverse for others. And it's, even when, you know, they've gone to rehab, they're clean, they've been clean for 10 years even. It's not as though that itch won't be scratched if they take heroin again. You know, it's not as though they're not a user. They were a user. They have something lacking, or there is a void within them at some part in their psyche that was probably due to childhood or something in between at any point, right? But
later on in life, when that person hits that speed bump again, which we all do, that's the first thing he's going to turn to.
sure, but
So
everyone has their
an
vice.
alcoholic is an alcoholic, will always be an alcoholic.
But it always, to heal comes with acceptance, you know? We're not going to give up on the alcoholic because
I never said to give up.
I know, but we're not going to say, you can't do it, you're an alcoholic, don't
You can
stop
do
drinking.
it. You can do it.
For
Stop
sure.
drinking. You can do it, but you will always be an alcoholic.
They'll always
But
have that
I know-
itch that could be scratched.
A friend
So,
of mine was an alcoholic, really bad.
Hmm.
But he hasn't drank in 40 years. 40 years, not touch a drop of alcohol.
That's right. And he should be very proud of himself.
Well,
I just
obviously
finished
is.
telling you.
And he probably hates alcohol too, right?
Yes, he
there you
can't
go.
stand it.
That's
He doesn't
fine.
like it. He doesn't
But
want to drink
the minute
it.
this guy hits
But
a
he's the wrong
hump
table. By the
in
way,
his
he's the wrong
life,
knocking around tables, eh?
the minute
doesn't
he
touch
hits
it.
a hump in his life, that's the first thing he'll do.
It's 40 years, Joe.
Doesn't matter. It can be 50 years. Listen, I got friends that they were heroin addicts, and they stopped heroin for 20 years. The minute they
That's
hit,
a bad drug, though.
regardless, 20 years clean, sober.
Yeah.
The minute that bing, you know that thing in the head,
Yeah.
that speed bump, they'll go on a binge 2-3 days, and then they'll stop again. They'll stop because they'll realize, holy fuck, I went on a binge. What I'm trying to say is, when something is broken, even though you mend it,
Hard to fix.
it'll always be weak.
But I'm just not convinced that every individual has their vice, has something broken in them. It's what
All
makes
of
them
us.
human. It's
All
the
of
human
us.
condition.
But I'm saying these guys say, oh, listen to fucking Anthony Robbins, that hypnosis, right? And he'll tell you how to become a billionaire,
Well,
a
he's not a
gazillionaire.
hypnotist, first of
Well,
all.
to me, he is.
He's a
because
motivational
both,
speaker.
Yeah, motivational fucking hypnotist, the same fucking thing.
But I think
tell
everyone-
you you're a dog and you're going to be a dog. I tell you you're a chicken, you're going to be a chicken.
Everyone
that guy tells you
finds-
you're going to be rich, you're going to be rich in your head.
No, he gives you the steps.
That's right, to be rich.
Well, the steps.
How many fucking followers does this guy have?
He has
It's
a lot,
not
but there's a lot-
necessarily about
it's-
richness, though.
It's
Anthony
almost,
Robbins-
it's not about.
yes.
It's about an education
Listen,
of life.
Tony
Thank you,
Greco's
Tony.
been
It's
fucked.
true.
Listen
It's
to
an
me.
education
You and
of
Tony,
life.
listen to what I'm saying. Tony Greco motivates people for how many years, Tony?
30 years. over
30 years. You think everybody goes to his gym look like him? Even though he's been training them for 30 years? Can you answer that one, Gino?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, they look like him.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But he's so good at what he does. He motivates you to go to his fucking gym every day. Doesn't mean you're going to look like him.
Maybe they don't want to look like me. They're
So then why are they coming to the gym for?
Because maybe one of them was 30 pounds overweight and now lost 30 pounds.
Right.
So that's a good accomplishment.
Yeah. 2 years later, they gained 60 pounds.
Not
Because
really.
you know what? My boyfriend left me or my husband left me or whatever the
But
fuck left me. They hit the hump.
They still were able to go through that obstacle.
Absolutely.
Right. So that
But
point of-
motivational speaking to me is hypnosis. A guy who sits on a stand to me and preaches is hypnosis. A priest hypnotizes you. A judge hypnotizes. These are hypnosis.
So who do you idolize? Do you have anybody you look up to?
Hold on a sec. I don't understand where you come
Hold on, I
up
wanna
with,
see what
with a
everybody
priest and a
who
judge.
preaches. Who
A
do you
priest and
believe?
a
Forget a
judge.
judge. Forget
Who
the
do you
judge.
believe?
Okay, fuck. I'm sorry,
Who do you
Gino.
believe? Where do you
I'm
get your data from? What inspires you? Who do you
Myself.
have? Your
Myself.
son.
I wait myself. What
Oh,
son?
yourself. Okay. So
Wake
yourself.
up in the morning. I say, what do you want to eat
So
today?
you just
Steak or soup?
So you just follow you.
Who do you want me to follow?
Well, what
Somebody
about
better than
what
you.
about someone that success breeds success? If let's say you want to be successful at, I don't know, playing tennis, will you follow a tennis pro that's been very successful and you look at what his affirmations are, what his message is, and you're like, oh, you know what? I might follow that guy because I really want to be a great tennis player.
And what happens when you don't become that great tennis player?
But you're still going to be better.
I
You're
get it.
bettering
But what
yourself.
happens when you don't become that
But
great
you're
tennis
not going to
player?
become that
You're
great
not going to
tennis
become
player.
that, but your
But
steps.
you're gonna-
You just said you follow greatness, you become great.
No,
you
you become better than what you
become
are
better
today.
than what you are today.
Oh.
That's the
That's why
idea. I'm not going to
success-
become Tony Greco.
success
But if
breeds
I'm
success.
following, I might look a little bit like maybe lose a little bit of weight if I really commit myself. But I'm never going to be Tony Greco.
So
and
it's
I don't
30
wanna be
years
Tony
you hit
Greco.
his gym. You haven't committed yourself once in 30 years that you've been going to him?
I've been going for 30 years, but
How
I've
long
lost
have you been
some
going
weight.
for?
He's gotten stronger.
10 years.
He's
Feels
very
better.
strong. He's a fucking
Right?
bull.
Feel better?
Yeah, I feel great. You've seen me work out. You
You're
think
a
people
bull.
my age?
You're a bull. I'm telling you, you're a
you
fucking
being
bull.
sarcastic
No,
now?
I swear to God. I tell everybody you can fucking outlift him. And you can.
Well, thank you. I do work out.
But-
and because,
but
and by the way, it's
side by
Tony.
side, you guys don't look
Well,
the
of
same.
course not.
Right?
No,
Everybody's
100%.
individual, right?
Yes.
So why
Maybe
do you have
I'm
to
made
follow
that way.
him?
I'm never. Both my parents we're not exactly skinny guys.
Jump in anytime.
Yeah, but when you're weak,
Absolutely, yeah.
when you're weak, you idolize somebody. That to me is a sign of weakness.
Hey everyone, this episode is brought to you by Jano Water. Has a pH level of 7.4, which means it gets rid of lots of toxins and nourishes the body. Now let's get back to the show. Listen, my goal is to become the
Great.
best
A great
person I can be.
To become great.
To become the best person I can be and to share that progress with others.
You're the best. Tony.
Okay. If at the end of the day, it's about uplifting. I'm only saying this because I've asked a lot of great leaders. I've asked a lot of successful people. And what happens is, and it's a good quality, everybody loves to share what they're good at. Not everybody's good at everything, but they're good at one thing. So let's look at a guy that's very good in business and's made a lot of money. He's up on that mountain. He's done everything to get up. Well, he's all alone up there. What do you think he wants to do? He wants to look down and help everybody come up because he's already made it.
You believe that?
I do believe that, yeah. And I believe that in a lot of people. That's why a lot of the time you surround yourselves because people want to help. Generally, people want to help, even
Not a
as they
chance.
get older. Do you not agree?
Colonel
would you not-
Sanders
would
sold you
not
a
wanna Share your
chicken.
experiences
Colonel
with other
Sanders
people?
sold you a chicken with a recipe on it. You like his chicken.
Joe, I have
Okay.
one question
Well,
for
look,
you.
go
he
ahead.
keeps talking about all his experiences in his life. Why does he keep doing that? He doesn't have to talk about that. But every time he's meeting young people, it's like, you know what? I used to do this. Why is he doing that? Because he wants to share that progress. Really, he's really helping people. Why
We
would
all
he do that?
Do you have a mentor? Have you ever
Yeah,
had a mentor
yeah.
in your life? No, hold
Joe,
on. Do you have a
me,
mentor?
myself,
Yeah,
and
my mentor is Gino Melito.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. No, but we all. Do you have a mentor?
A mentor?
Aristotle, probably in your case.
I think Prince.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Why-
we all have a mentor.
Wait, Prince.
The
Why
singer.
Prince? Why Prince?
Just through his one performance, Purple Rain, in 1977. It's enough
Holy
to do
fuck,
it
this
for
kid
him.
I
needs help.
remember that actually.
Yeah.
This
Wow.
kid needs help. Prince.
Well, I
Do
just
you
remember.
have a mentor?
Listen,
Tony, do you have a mentor?
I do
Who
have
is
a
it?
mentor.
Wayne
Well,
Gretzky.
I have a few though. Yes, Wayne Gretzky.
Nice
Claude Giroux has become a mentor of mine. His work ethics are impeccable.
Yeah.
Here
Yeah.
we go.
That's
I don't
amazing.
care
The
what anybody's.
plug.
Yeah,
The
no,
plug.
it's not a plug. It's a fact.
Plug.
You mean it's a fact. It's pretty impeccable. It is. And
Actually, I
that's why
saw
it's
him
right.
training today. He fucking
Yeah.
trains pretty hard. He puts those kids to shame.
You know what it is?
I can
though?
tell you that.
know what it is? Well, the guy still finishes first in his workout. Joe witnessed it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about that. It's just the mindset of people.
Solid.
It's mindset, right? Some people that are dialed that much in, you really appreciate the mind. You know what I mean? Like Michael Jordan, another one. I mean, look at some of these guys, right?
So you have many mentors.
I have a few, yeah, and a lot of motivational
How about,
speakers.
is there a top mentor, one person that you can sort of look up and say, yeah, I would say he's the one that really...
No, I got to agree with Joe. I don't really have like a top mentor. I admire a lot of people that have done what they've done, but it's not like, oh my God, that's my mentor kind of thing. You know what I mean?
So your mom or dad are nowhere in that mentor category.
Well, obviously my family is my biggest mentorship because I wouldn't be where I am, obviously. You know what I mean?
You guys have all the wrong fucking perspective about
what are you trying to get at here? What are you trying to ask me?
We all have mentors to guide us
Who's your
in
mentor?
life.
Who's your mentor? Anthony Robbins.
I'm not going to say no. It's not.
Franca.
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett?
Yes.
Yeah, because this guy all about money. That's why.
No, it's not.
That's
no.
greed. He's a fucking
His
greedy bastard.
His commitment to life.
Yeah.
And you know the guy still lives in the same house, drives the same truck.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't care. He's a multi-billionaire.
Because he's a cheap
But he-
bastard.
He's
okay, I know- I have a friend like that.
He's a philosopher without taking philosophy.
GM, I have a friend
he's
like
so
that.
natural about everything he does. He doesn't care about his money, his richness,
Producer
or anybody
Mason's
else.
shaking his head. This guy's losing his marbles.
No,
So
but
with
all
this-
kidding aside, we all have mentors. And, you know...
Gino, you know who my mentors are?
Yeah.
Real people.
Yeah. Why? Warren Buffett's not a real person?
Celebrities don't interest me. You
He's
can
not a
ask
celebrity.
Tony. Ask Tony.
He's not a celebrity.
I'm far from being starstruck by anybody.
Yeah.
You know,
Nobody's talking about being
it doesn't impress me. I like the real people. When I see a real person succeed, that to me deserves my respect. And I will listen to that person like I listen to you. I listen to Tony.
You know what it sounds
You guys
like?
are real people.
Thank you. We appreciate that. I'm sure I'm
The
speaking
belated, your brother Val Melito. I used to listen to him because he's a real person. You understand what I'm saying?
I mean, real through your perspective, but like Prince had friends, for instance, right? Prince probably had people looking up to him.
Many.
Especially, yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
100%.
Well, not even just like
Thousands.
as a celebrity. Like he probably had very close friends who bolstered each other because of
Yeah, absolutely.
their willpower.
So
and
we
their
cut you
desire
off
to
earlier. What
greatness.
about Prince? Why is he your mentor?
He told you, Purple Rain.
What did Purple Rain have to do?
Well,
It's a song.
I think a similar thing to what you were saying is just like this guy was so locked into what he was doing. He was so in the music, and in that performance specifically, his like all of him came out
In
you
Purple
know?
Rain.
Yeah, in Purple
Really?
Rain. Like it, watch it. I swear, it's amazing. 60-minute video.
You should watch that video, by the way. It's very motivational.
You watched it?
Yes, I did.
Purple Rain.
It's oh my God, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a great
What did you like
concert.
about it?
Just like everything, the music, the sound, the lighting, the orchestra, everything about it was
And how he's performing
Amazing.
it, like the way he
Amazing.
screams.
That's what really
the way
brought
he
him
I saw
out.
acts.
Prince in concert.
well. Then you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, he's
it's
a great
amazing.
performer,
Yes,
great musician too.
Absolutely.
but
It's too bad he died young.
Yeah, it's great. I guess I just want to know what
Right, but it's like
mentor like
it's
him.
it's like a magnum opus though, right? Like especially that performance, and in music it's an interesting thing because it's live performance, and in the 70s and 60s is when it was started being recorded often, and so we get to see it even now. But like, for instance, in the 20s when Ella Fitzgerald was performing, we can't see that, but she definitely had that one performance that you just saw like everything in her is why she was doing it, is why she was living her life, you know. And it's like when you have a mentor, like you see that in another person, and you have the common archetype of the teacher who has reached the top to a certain extent, and they want to pull other people up. That literally becomes their profession in any sort of discipline. They become the teacher of that thing, you know? And it's why even in a philosophical career, when you have the pinnacle of that in academic philosophy is a university professor of philosophy.
Have you ever, you know what, speaking about that, have you ever seen, the study they did with the monkeys in the cage? Do you hear about that?
No.
You saw that. You've heard, you know which study, right? Do you remember what I'm going to say here? Do you remember it? You can say yes. You have a problem speaking?
Go ahead.
So they had, you probably must have learned this philosophy, just the negative attitude.
This
that
is
people,
very interesting because it's actually a philosophical story. He'll tell you.
So they put two monkeys in a cage, right? And they had a tree with bananas. So what happened was one of the monkey went up to get a banana. The other monkey pulled the monkey down. So they was creating bad behavior, like negative. Hey, don't do that. Hey, don't do that. Anyway, so these guys that were doing this, I said, I know what the secret is. Let's take that monkey out. We'll put another monkey in. So I put another monkey in because that monkey was able to work on the same thought patterns of taking somebody down. Same thing happened. So the moral of the story is that, again, like people remember the negatives and don't do it, don't do that, as opposed to the inspiring stuff. So
Yeah.
I think you missed a lot of that story, but
I made the closed notes of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I definitely sorry, go ahead.
no, sorry. The idea was that the monkey that pulled the first monkey down, when they put a new monkey, the new monkey also pulled them down.
Monkey down, yeah.
So it's what you're taught, right? If you're taught to climb up and eat a banana, then you're going to climb up and eat a banana. If you're not, then you don't know what's right and wrong.
And the reason why
sure.
I mention that is because, going back to if we don't uplift people and pull them up, most people live in a negative
environment.
Yeah, but again, going back to your mentors, shouldn't your mentor be a real person?
Well,
Hold on, is Claude Giroux not a real person? Is Gretzky not a real person?
Hold on a second. Like, can I just? Well, what do you think?
I've-
Go ahead. Okay, what do you think?
No, I'm saying they're real people. We are talking about real people. You think they're
So
celebrities?
Wayne Gretzky to you is a real person.
Definitely.
100%.
Give him a call. See if he'll answer your call. Shoot him a text.
I don't know his number, but if I had his number, he would pick up the phone.
but I'll tell you one thing. He could.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say here?
Yes,
hold on
I know
a-
exactly
yes.
what
You
you're
understand
trying to
what I'm
say.
saying?
Yes.
So you standing paying $5,000 for a ticket to listen to that guy on top of that stage because he's your mentor.
Right.
He's entertaining you. He's entertaining you for his money, for his wallet. He's not fucking helping you. He's uplifting himself, that guy there. To me, a mentor is a guy like you. To me, you're a mentor. Tony's a mentor to me. This kid, not so much. He's young. But you know what I'm saying?
He could be.
He could be. Potential. So what I'm saying is that I have access to Tony. I have access to Gino.
Right.
I have access to a real person. That should be a mentor to a person.
I gotta say though, right there, I think you slipped up. Considering I could be, right? Wayne Gretzky could pick up the phone call.
Yeah,
Right.
go ahead.
He could.
Go ahead.
I'm not saying he will.
Prince will pick up your call too.
No, he's dead, unfortunately.
I know that.
Yeah.
But he's
He's not a real
that's what I mean
person
to
is
say.
what I'm saying. He's real around his friends.
It's a difficult question. And this is why words matter again. Like when you say real,
Real.
not tangible in the sense that I can pick up a phone and call him.
So,
But real in the sense that he lives on this earth, has friends and people who can call him.
but you can't. So
For
why would
sure.
you make him your mentor? There's
Because-
a lot of people out there around your circle that are very intelligent that can actually help you.
Because we as people live in our conceptual framework and we have ideas of what we see that person as. And it's as real as if I were to speak to that person and he was that image. When we have that
That's
idea
not
of an
true.
individual.
And I'm going to correct you on that
Go ahead.
because that's not true. What you see is an image. When that guy closes that door, you don't know who he is.
For sure.
When he closes his door, I know who the fuck Gino is.
But I know
Whether
what
that
that-
door is open or closed, I know who he is.
I'm not saying I know who he is, but I know what that image
And
is
that's why
in my mind.
And that's what you're making yourself. You're making yourself that thing in your head.
Well, isn't that not what we do with everyone? Do you really know
Well, a
Tony so
mentor-
well to be
Well-
able to peer into his mind and knows every
Well,
thought
a mentor
pattern?
to me should be a real person, meaning a real person should be a person close to me. That, my grandfather was my mentor. Open or closed door, my grandfather was my mentor.
Because you knew him. Is that why
Because
he's your
I have
mentor?
access to him. I don't have access to Anthony
But
Robbins.
hold on a sec. Do you think everybody has access to Tony Greco?
But that's-
or me or you?
But that's what I'm saying. Me, forget it. Who the fuck
no,
wants
no.
to
My
follow me?
point is not everybody has access to you or Tony or
I
me.
get it, but
or,
that-
or him for that matter.
That's exactly.
My point is that some of our close friends have access to us. Maybe there's somebody out there who wants to call you, but he said, "Shit, you know what? I've heard of Joseph Busco, but I don't know his number. I don't know
That's
how
right.
to call him."
Can't reach me.
No, they can't reach you.
That's right. So how can I
But
be his
same thing
mentor?
with me.
Why would I be
can't
his
reach
mentor?
Gretzky because I don't know his number.
But why would I be his mentor? Is what I'm saying. Why would I be somebody's mentor if they don't know me? If they just know me as
But
Lionscape.
Gretzky's not my mentor. You told me if I can call him. He's not my mentor.
Well, you said Anthony Roberts is your mentor.
No, I didn't. I never said Anthony Robbins. Did I say Anthony Robbins is my mentor?
one of your mentors.
Okay.
So we need to reverse
No,
these cameras.
you want
or
to
what?
reverse that back?
Okay.
I guarantee
Well,
you.
Wayne Gretzky
I
is
said
his
you
mentor.
asked me who's my mentor, and I said at
So
the end
Wayne-
I did give in, and I
Wayne-
said Warren Buffett.
So Wayne
That's
Gretzky-
the only mentor I
Okay,
said I
Warren
have.
Buffett, even better. How close can you get to this guy
I can get close to Wayne Gretzky. That's for sure.
today?
Today, if I tried by the end of the day. Today, if I tried by the end of the day, only because I know was one of his closest
Hold
friends.
on a second. Today, because you as well have celebrity statuses.
Okay. But I'm just saying.
But 20 years ago, when you were Tony Greco in a gym, fucking teaching karate and whatever the fuck you were teaching, where there was no social media,
Was harder.
I don't think you would even get close to Gretzky unless you get a signature in an arena.
Right.
The reason why you speak about Claude Giroux, that I believe, more than anything, because Claude Giroux's been around you since the age of what, 14, 15?
16.
16 years old. So that I believe when you tell me, Giroux is a mentor because of the way he trains.
Right.
I believe it because he's real to you.
Yes.
But could you imagine a kid who sees this guy on the hockey, sees this guy on TV and he's the greatest hockey player and he becomes a mentor. How the fuck can that guy be your mentor? This is a guy you met on TV. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Like you're not having dinner with him. You call Claude Giroux right now. He'll answer the phone.
Right.
This is what I'm trying to tell people. Choose the real mentors, because those celebrities that you cannot get close to, they cannot be your mentor, because you don't know if this guy's a child molester. You don't know if this guy's a fucking wife beater. You don't know if this guy does crack in his basement. You don't know what he does.
Right.
But when you put him on stage, he's got the purple outfit.
Yes.
He looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
Fuck, he sings his heart. And you know what? That's not a fucking mentor. That's
Well, your
starstruck.
definition of mentor, I think, is wrong.
My definition of mentor is wrong.
Yes.
If the fucking world will listen to a little of my stupidity, I think we'd live in a different
I'm not
world.
saying it's stupid. I'm saying you're
like
wrong.
you guys, you
A
believe in
mentor
fucking
is
equal
someone-
fucking this and fairies and all that shit. I don't believe in unicorns. I told you that from day one.
Listen, a mentor is somebody who sets an example for others.
What example
who
did
has
he set?
Who has accomplished the unaccomplishable.
You don't know how we accomplished it. That's what I'm trying to say to
Well,
you.
you do know, because that's
Really?
why he's a mentor, unless he's a child molester, like
okay.
you said.
Okay.
But I don't believe that.
Who was that fucking guy they killed in prison? Who was that guy they killed in prison?
The pig farmer?
No, the guy they killed in prison. Fucking
John
who?
Gotti?
Epstein.
Oh, yeah, Epstein, yes.
You know how many fucking people looked at him as a mentor because he was a billionaire? He knew how to make things happen. He knew how to fucking shake and rattle and roll. Ended up being what? Worst fucking predator in the world. Imagine that being your fucking mentor.
Why did you say they killed him in prison? He committed suicide.
Fuck him. They killed him and they did well. I'm just telling you, he was a fucking predator.
I don't think he's anybody's mentor, first of all.
That's what you think.
No, I'm sure he was a.
That's what you think. That's why he had the prince around him. He had all the fucking presidents wrapped around. That's nobody's mentor because he made everybody money. He knew how to make people money.
Just because I hang around with you two doesn't mean you guys are my mentors.
I didn't say I'm your
respect you
fucking
as-
mentor. I'm
I
married to
respect
you.
you
How can
guys
I
as
be your
friends.
fucking mentor?
I respect you as friends. That doesn't mean that you're my friend. All of a sudden, you become my mentor.
To me, a mentor is somebody who's around you, who's around you and can teach you. That is a mentor to me.
Fair enough. That's
A fucking celebrity will never be a mentor. He can be a great celebrity, but
unless he knew him well enough that he can call him and spend time with him.
I don't know what the fucking guy does behind closed. Prince was a fucking freak to nature. Michael Jackson, another fucking yahoo, made fucking kids sleep in his bed.
I think I see your point though. So like,
Do you understand what I'm
you're
trying to say? I'm a bit on the other side, but I'm just telling you, a mentor to me is somebody you know, somebody that you can fucking hold his hand.
Well, I think you're
Somebody
just
that
trying.
you call, and I know Greco what he's doing at night, what he's not doing at night. You understand? There's nobody chained up in his fucking basement. That I'll find out 20 years later. Holy fuck! I idolized this guy. Look at this guy made the papers.
He's got a point. He's got a pretty good
I think-
You
point.
understand how many people idolize Trump? He almost got assassinated the other fucking day.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? He's got a lot of bones in the closet. He did a lot of fucking shady deals, but a lot of people love him. How can you have that guy as a mentor when you don't know him? Is what I'm saying.
You were going to say you were shedding some
Yeah,
light
go
on the
ahead.
situation.
Well, I think you're trying to differentiate the idea between like a personal teacher, like a personal person in your life who has uplifted you in some sense, and like an ideal. Because when I think of like Prince, I see the idealized version of a professional musician who's like created his magnum opus, right? That's the ideal, and it's beautiful and it was amazing to see. But I didn't know him. I'm not going to say like, oh, Prince guided me through my life. Prince got me through my toughest moments. You know, I'm not going to say that.
But there's a lot of fucked up people that do say that.
Sure,
That
but I
they
think-
believe in what they hear and what they see.
But I think they just have the idea of like the ideal confused with what it means to feel accomplished in their life.
Mhm.
You know, because they see that ideal and they're like, "Holy shit, that was it." You
Mhm.
know. But I think that just bundles down to people not really knowing themselves. You
Mhm.
know, if they create that as who they are, that's a different story.
And the only reason why I went on with this rambling rampage is because Tony Greco says I have no mentors, only myself, and he's absolutely false. What he said
Well, you
about me.
justified that now.
You understand? My mentors were people I knew, not people that I saw on TV, not fucking books that I read, none of that shit. I don't believe in that. And I strongly believe people should not believe in that, because you have great people around you. If you look, I'm sure there's going to be one person in your life that's great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's that person you should look at.
Well, there's an old saying, don't chase those fancy things and mentors and all that stuff. Just be the best version of yourself. Those things will chase you. Right?
Okay, Tony.
Can you say that in English?
Yeah, because if there's a thing, like a lot of people chase that. Oh, I want to know this guy. I want to know this guy. Like, you know what I mean? And they chase those fancy things that impress them in life. But if you focus on just being the best version of yourself, those things will chase you. So whether it's a mentor, whether it's something else, you know what I mean? Like yourself, you're who you are. You know what I mean? And those good things will chase you, even though some things people might not agree with what you say or how
absolutely.
you say it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're
It's
like, you know
it.
what? Yeah. But going back to your whole career, so with young people, like growing up, would you suggest, like, what could you suggest to them, like as far as like learning what you learned in philosophy, and how would you relate that in the real world with someone coming up, teenagers that is, not, I'm talking like young people, like what would you tell them?
Well, I would say, Socrates said it best, and it's so simple. It's just know thyself. It's just know who you are. Take the time to understand why you think the things you think, or do you think about them at all?
That's what they say. The simplest question is the hardest to answer. Most people
Absolutely.
don't know who they are.
For sure.
Ask Gino. He doesn't know who he is. Ask him the question. You're allowed to do that. Ask him who you are. See what he says.
Who are you, Gino?
Gino Melito.
And who is Gino
In my
Melito?
opinion, the greatest man on earth.
That's beautiful.
You see what I'm saying? Like
Ask him where he is, though.
Like that's most people. And I didn't want to pick on you, Gino.
Second to Jesus.
No, but Gino, I didn't want to pick on you, but most people will answer. They're like, yeah, I'm a father. I'm, a good dad or whatever. Oh, really? That's who you are. That's all who you are. That's who Gino Melito is. And the reason why I say it, because most people do not know who they are and what they truly want. Maybe they can comment down below, people that are listening to the podcast. And if I'm waving this magic wand, put some comments down. Who are you and what do you want? But most people can't answer that question.
That's
they really
great.
can't.
That's a great.
I'm
Put it out
serious.
there. Let answer that question and say who you are. And we could like to see who you think you are.
I think,
and see what your definition is of who you are.
Yeah, and I think you've studied this in school, but I'm even speaking for myself. It's very hard to really truly figure out who you truly are, because once you get a little bit, I don't think people really know who they truly really are. But once they get a little bit of it, I think they start to change the way they think.
Sure.
And because the way they change the way they think, they change the way they feel. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Some people are not accepted, even in friends groups, because their behavior changes. And sometimes they think, they go like, whoa, that guy's weird. But they're really normal. We're weird because we haven't truly really figured out who they truly are and what they truly want.
Who's Tony Greco?
Who's Tony Greco? I'll talk to you about that after the podcast, because it's about Sebastian today. But I'm just answering my own question. It's tough to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's
It is
probably
tough
one
to
of the
do.
most difficult things to do in life, really.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things we don't like about ourselves, I think. And you dig deep enough, you're going to run into those, and you have to learn to accept them in a lot of cases. A lot of the things that you don't like, either working on them or working them into your life in some way, in a beneficial way, or a way that is a true reflection of what you are, so you know who and how you should act in the world. But
yeah, I agree with you. And I think it all goes back to understanding your beliefs and your values. And if you can, like we talked about at the beginning, if you know your beliefs and your value and you constantly stay focused and put action towards that, then you start to develop who you really truly are. But all of us, I mean, like I'm speaking for myself, like I don't think you're 100% sure who you truly are, because you don't think about that. No one ever tells you that when you're born. I mean, they say Mark Twain, the two most important things is the day you're born, the day you find out why. Most people don't know the why. Like, yeah, I'm here
Who's
because...
Sebastian Gingras? Can you tell us as a philosopher? Do you know?
That's a good question for you.
Sebastian Gingras is philosophizing. I'm a verb at the moment, for sure.
That's who you are.
I mean,
For
you're,
now,
you're
I mean,
obviously
actually-
very young.
Fucking great, eh? They just throw big words and it's done.
But
And
you're still
everybody
finding
accepts
out.
it.
You're still finding out who you
Throw
are.
fucking two
For sure.
big words and it's
Well, I'm in the
accepted.
process of it, you know, and it's never ending and it won't end. I'm never going to be able to answer that and put a period at the end, you know.
See?
I think most people that you could tell most people know who they are is because well, Joe kind of has an idea who he is because he doesn't give a shit, but he truly doesn't give a shit.
Again, I
Okay?
don't give a shit.
No,
you know,
in a
you're
good way,
giving
in a good
people
way.
the wrong
No,
fucking
in a good
impression
way. Like
about me.
you say whatever. Like that's an art because some people say it, they don't want to say it. Or some people, just pretend to say it, but you just say it, which is great. That is a belief.
I'm a very sensible guy.
I'm
sensitive.
You are, but that's an
I
art.
help my friends, right?
Yes, you are. But that still being able to be consistent, that's an art. So once those beliefs are followed through with action, you start to know that person really is. Like some people that I know some friends of mine, like these guys don't care about living fancy, and you know them too. They travel, they don't get, like, I think they truly have a 90% way of knowing who they truly are, because it's not like the little things don't matter to them and the big things don't matter to them. It's just living life.
I think my opinion about who we are is that we will never, ever find out who we truly are. We will find out who we are every single day of our lives. But we'll never know who we are until we die. Because we will learn and find things about ourselves every single day of our lives through our friends, through our family, through everything we do.
But you can
So if somebody tells me, I know exactly who I am, I know exactly what I'm going to do tomorrow and the day after that, that's a bunch of BS.
No, but
Because
hold on a
we will never
second.
know
But
who
you're
we
in
are.
control. Only you can use the word I in a sentence. So the word why is once you find out your why, then you have a purpose. And when you have a purpose, I'm saying, I don't think everyone, because nobody's perfect, but you strive for consistency. So if you constantly strive on your why, I mean, when you exit that game, they'll say, you know what? That guy was this because of this, right? Or that guy was that because of that, because at least you knew your why. That's why I look at everybody that kind of leaves the game. We remember them for what they did, right? And why they did it. Whether they were good or bad, remember. We talk about it.
What
and
do you
those-
remember Val for?
all his goodwill, all the stuff he gave back, his generosity, always helping people, always there for you. I mean, these are things that come to people's mind all the time. You ask anybody, well, you could see it. That's the way he was. Generous, giving, forgiving, accepting. That's a lot of good qualities. Like, I mean, and again, that, like you said, that's a good mentor. But those are hard qualities to fall through. Not everybody can do it. And we know that not everybody can. There's only certain people like that. So that's a big why.
Well, I can, I mean, why don't people say it like to Gino? Like, what do you got to wait till he dies to tell him that he was great and fucking this and that and whatever you want to say? That's the problem. People don't talk no more. People are scared of insults. Like, people don't accept insults no more. You can't insult anybody. You can't tell anybody something because, it's an insult. We got to start to learn how to fucking accept insults. So that's part of society.
I agree.
They try to clean society, and instead it's fucking ruining society. Like, see, you asked him about your brother. He gave you all the good quality. But how come he never says the good qualities about Gino? What are you going to wait until you're doing his eulogy?
Yeah.
Or vice versa? Like, what the fuck? Like, why is the world like this? You understand what I'm saying?
I think
like, Gino wants to know who he is. Who's Gino Melito? Well, you tell me who Gino Melito is. You've known him 40 years. Why don't you tell me who he is?
Yeah.
Right? You just gave me Val, what he is. Val's gone.
Yeah.
Right? But now you tell me who Gino Melito is. I don't need him to tell me. I need you to tell me. Because Gino's going to tell you who Tony is.
Caring guy, there when you need him, help you whenever you want.
So there you go. Now I know who Gino is. And Gino, if he tells me who's Tony Greco, because he's known you for 40 years, he's going to tell me.
And that goes back to
He's a selfish prick. He's all about himself. He's this and that.
We'll talk about it after the podcast.
But at the end of the day,
I'm getting hot in here.
At the end of the day, I don't think we are able to tell anybody who we are.
Well, when you're good, you got to tell people.
Here we go with
right?
the time fucking
good,
thing.
When you're good, you got to tell people. When you're
Right.
great, people tell you.
I know,
right?
Tony.
So-
It's like the watch thing.
No, but it's true because at the end of the day, that's really what we have, right? Is all like the good qualities that we share among everybody.
we have our balls and our word. That's all we have.
And I don't break them from anybody.
So, Sebastian, some wise words
From a philosopher.
from a
Roll that beard a
philosopher.
bit
What-
longer.
What do you actually?
No,
you know
hold
what?
on. We're
What
talking
do you
about the
think-
Greeks.
What do you
about the
think-
Greeks
what
we
do
were
you
talking
think
about
of us-
earlier?
First of all, what do you think of us three individuals here? We never really had. Well, it's the first time I had a philosopher. I want you to tell us
As a
your
philosopher.
opinion as a philosopher, what you think of
And
us
don't hold
guys.
punches, eh?
And don't hold punches. Yeah.
Throw the insults. Don't worry
Start
about
with
it.
Joe.
Start
What do
with
you
me.
think, Joe?
With Joe,
Yeah.
obviously very assertive, and
I don't even know what that word is. I need a
present and known.
You're
This
like,
kid,
what-
I need a fucking
Okay,
dictionary
go
on
ahead,
this
keep going,
kid.
Keep going.
Likes to make himself present and known,
Thank you.
for sure, but not shy to share his opinion, which is a very brave thing to do, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See, he nailed me.
Okay.
Tony, you're kind of an enigma because I feel like I've known you my whole life, but I also don't. So it's interesting. You're kind of
Again,
in,
what's
like,
the
a
word
gray area.
enigma?
Like
For the dumb people like
puzzle.
me.
Puzzle.
puzzle.
Enigma.
But I think that's
Means
because you're
puzzle.
locked in my deep
Did you get that?
childhood
Question
psyche
mark.
somewhere.
Did you know
He's a
enigma what
question
it was?
mark.
Come on, he's
Fuck off,
talking
you didn't
about
know.
me. Can
Shut
we
the
listen?
fuck up. We hear
Hold on a
about you all the
sec.
time.
I
Obviously,
see him
he
talking
wants
about
to
me.
hear about him.
I want
Okay.
to know.
Not even our fucking producer knew what fucking enigma was.
Can I ask you a
Hold on a
question?
second.
I want him to finish.
Yes,
Tony,
finish
'cause
off.
you don't
I wanna
understand.
hear.
You
It's always
feel like
nice.
negative stuff.
It's always
Obviously-
nice.
Hold on a
So
second.
you're a puzzle.
from my perspective, obviously very caring because obviously you've been friends with my mom for a very long time, and I don't know, it's cool to see that you guys are still friends and you're helping her out with the gym and stuff. It's definitely her passion too.
Yeah.
It was cool, and yeah,
That's it.
that's all I can think
no,
of.
Okay, Gino. No, it's good. It's good.
Gino, I don't know you at all, but clearly you're just a really interesting character.
That's a good word. Interesting. What else?
You obviously have a lot to say, and
I'm an
You're-
enigma too, obviously.
You're a
I think
3D
you're
enigma.
intrigued. I think you're obviously intrigued about the world and what other people have to say, and that's a really cool quality to have for sure. I think.
Actually, I am.
Yeah.
I am intrigued about the world people have to say because I always ask questions.
Yeah.
100%.
So
Okay,
Tony,
you asked about the philosophy.
Tony,
Sorry.
you knowing this kid for a very long time since he was almost in diapers, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about this kid today?
Well, I think he's come a long way. I've known him when he was super young. Then I lost track of him because you've went to school. I don't know where you went, but yeah, I just remember him from a child. Like, and I kind of knew based on the way he was that he was going to be in a role, something like that. You know what I mean? Soft spoken, good heart, changes a negative attitude into a positive. Always looks for the positive, and that's very common. Very grateful. And I think he's fought his own demons in his own mind to make him accept who he is and how to share that progress with others.
So how I see you, I
Wait,
don't
did
know
you not? Did you not like that
I
description?
loved it.
You just
Just
cut
fucking
me off.
throw him a fucking
That took
cookie.
a lot of heart for me to.
Just give him a fucking
This
cookie.
guy
Get
just
him
said-
away from here.
This guy just cut me off on that.
It flowed very well.
I didn't cut you
Thank
off.
you.
I didn't cut you off.
But you didn't even say that was very like I thought of that, knowing who this guy was, and you just
It's fucking great.
Okay.
It's warming. It's very.
anyways.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
I met this kid second time.
Yeah.
I think this kid has a place, you know where? Around children. I think you should work around children
Why is that?
because I think you can make a difference. I'm talking about the little kids, like pre-kindergarten,
Maybe a teacher or
kindergarten.
something like that, right?
Is just his demeanor, his whole,
Energy.
yeah, his facial, his verbal, he's very calm,
Yeah.
very calm. Like,
Yeah.
wow. Like at the beginning of the show, my ants were running in my head, like it looked like a fucking ant farm in here. Before me,
I'm thinking you could be the Pied Piper.
but this
I love that.
gentleman here should work with children. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, you should work with children because you'll do a lot of great things with them.
I agree.
Just the,
You know
the
what?
way
I
you are.
actually, that's a great definition of Sebastian here because I think you define him very well.
I don't think
I
you should
agree.
adolescents, none of that shit. I think you should take the little kids that are coming from, the wrong upbringing, the wrong parents. This
Maybe
guy,
in social services.
this
or
guy
teacher.
could really make the difference. I'm telling you, he's just warming. He's very warming kid.
Yeah.
He's very charming.
I agree.
Charming
Thanks,
kid.
guys.
And now you wanted to know something about you were asking about the philosophy. He's something about the Greek. You were saying something.
Yeah, we were talking about earlier about the Greeks and their practices.
Yeah.
Yes. Ancient Greeks had sex with men, I guess. It was
Yeah,
great.
Why did you ask that question?
because ancient Greeks used to have sex with men normally. Used to be a
Okay.
normal thing.
So,
So
why,
today
why did
we're
I-
shouting and screaming about what's going on in the world, accepting bisexuality.
you're
being
gonna wake
gay.
up Joe now.
Yeah, I know.
You're gonna really
All
wake
I'm
up Joe.
saying is, the world is becoming more accepting, and yet it was a practice.
Well, yeah, they were just seeking sexual pleasure, and that was the end of it. Although in ancient Greece, it has a much darker undertone because obviously in the past you're aware of like older people sleeping with younger individuals,
Right.
and in ancient Greece, the general like dynamic was you'd have the sort of older man mentor person who's like attracted to the younger individual's beauty, and then the younger individual would be attracted to like what the older person could teach them. That was the sort of dynamic. It was a weird thing.
And you think that was
But-
normal?
Well,
It was
back
normal,
then.
but
It
it's
was normal back then.
obviously terrible.
You know,
That's what he's saying. It was normal back then. I mean, is the world turning around where it's becoming normal today as well?
I hope not.
Just today, it's much different because obviously it's consensual sex between two partners, which at that time it wasn't.
Whether
So-
it's males or females or
yeah, any
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
I
floats
never
their
had a
boat.
problem with gay and lesbian. I never had a problem with that.
Nobody's suggesting anybody.
Well,
did.
yes,
I'm
obviously.
just saying
you're gonna-
that
Don't look
It
at me.
used
I
to
didn't
be-
say anything.
we like ancient times.
I have
it
problems
used to be
with
common
fairies.
practice.
That's what I have
No,
problems with.
no, it used to be common practice to men sleep with men, women sleep with women. I guess I don't like the idea of men sleeping with children or women sleeping with
Yeah.
children either. But I mean, it used to be a common practice, and I'm saying that
Orgies. They're called orgies, Gino.
I don't know about that, but
Yeah, they were orgies.
This is going to be another topic. For
Yeah, we
next
gotta get a Greek
podcast.
guy in here.
So just before we go, our good listener, we're going to leave him with some words of wisdom. So today, because we always want to leave this show on a positive note, and also people can comment down below. We want to see your comments. We also want some suggestions because we have actually a lot of guests and a lot of people. So if people want certain topics, right, Joe?
Absolutely.
And if you want to take a jab at Joe,
Go ahead.
please comment as much as possible. We might even read some of the comments.
Why not? Fuck.
Yeah,
I'm
Joe
good for
loves
it.
that.
I love
He's
it.
got thick skin, and I know that you guys that listen. He tells you the way
It's life.
it's
Insults
life.
is
It's life.
normal.
That's all it is, right?
Insults are
Gino
normal.
brings a lot of experience to the table, and
I'll
shares
leave you
it.
with this: become a sponge. Learn everything you can about life, everyone, and everything around you.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Wow,
You
that's
must have-
deep.
He must have got that. That's good. That's good. Gino.
This kid's rubbing off on
Okay,
you, eh, Gino?
I'm just going to be very simple. I'm
That
gonna
was
just,
Jim Rohn.
Okay, so I'm
Oh, I don't know. I'm just. My dad told me that.
But I'm just gonna stay positive here, and that's kind of my job. Yours, Joe.
Go ahead.
No, I just
I'm great with everything,
You are
man.
where you are in life because who you are. That's
That's
okay.
it, man. You
Yours-
can't change. You can't change.
You can't change.
You can't
Okay.
change spots from a leopard.
Yeah, and now we're
Well,
gonna
can you
leave.
say something positive to our listeners?
Just be yourself.
There you go. You like Joe.
Good or bad?
Good or bad. If you're bad, you're bad. What do you want to do? You need the balance in the
Need the
world.
yin and the yang. But we're gonna leave our last few words to our philosopher here.
Try to know yourself and try to love yourself as much as you're willing to love others.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yes.
And on that note,
Well said.
thanks a lot for listening. And until next time, flex and facts. Go out there and flex.